Doei. A new decade has started and thousands of MMOs are out there to be played. But how many of these MMOs actually let you drive some of the most legendary tanks in history? If you filter MMOs by that category, only a couple come to my mind. One of them being the ever so popular World of Tanks. In this video, we are going to cover how World of Tanks became one of the most popular MMOs of all time, and if it's still worth playing in 2020. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. World of Tanks is a free-to-play game published by Wargaming.net that has been around for almost a decade. It originally launched in Russia in 2010. It later came to Europe in April of 2011 and was launched on Xbox in February of 2014. It was also released on Android and iOS, so mobile, in 2015 by the name of World of Tanks Blitz. Wargaming also has two other games similar to World of Tanks called World of Warships and World of Warplanes. World of Tanks has millions of players around the globe, does esports, and they've won plenty of awards throughout the years. World of Tanks is a vehicular combat MMO, therefore you play as a tank, surprise surprise. But World of Tanks doesn't just have a few tanks, no, they have hundreds of various tanks from different nations. You have American, German, French, British, Russian, Japanese, Italian, Swedish, Czechoslovakian, Chinese, and Polish tanks. So wherever you are from, there's something for you to like. Within these nations, you also have different types of tanks. Let's start off with the light tanks. These are typically your scout type tank and they're extremely fast. However, because of their great mobility, their guns lack in penetration and alpha damage. In the current game, you both have wheeled and light tanks with tracks. You then have medium tanks. These tanks usually have great damage per minute with moderate to good penetration, okay armor, and decent mobility depending on the nation. Heavy tanks are the true brawlers of this game. They are usually slower than medium tanks but are much more heavily armored. On top of the extra armor, they usually also have larger caliber guns mounted that deal more alpha damage but have similar penetration values compared to the medium tanks. Next up are the tanks with the big guns. Tank destroyers. These tanks are exactly what their name states, tank destroyers. They have the largest caliber guns with high alpha damage and high penetration. Within the tank destroyer category, you have sniper tanks that like to stay hidden in the bushes and snipe tanks from range. And you also have brawler type tank destroyers that have more armor than the other tank destroyers and have a big gun that they like to shove in the enemy's face. Again, just like the other tank types, they follow the same principle. If they have less armor, they are more maneuverable, but they usually have a smaller gun. The last category of tank are the artillery. These stay back at the edge of the map and blast massive high explosive shells at tanks that sit in the open for too long. Not only do these shells shave off some health, but they also stun or even kill crew members of tanks, which can be a big deal in an intense action-packed situation. Artillery is the support class in World of Tanks and the worst enemy of any tank that is sluggish, as slow tanks are literally a feast or piñata for the artillery to repeatedly ram shells in on. Now that you know what types of tanks there are, how do you actually unlock them? You start with Tier 1 tanks of each nation, which lead into Tier 2 tanks. Unlocking a tank requires a certain amount of experience. After researching that particular or any particular vehicle, you can buy the vehicle using your credits. You earn credits, experience, and free experience in every battle depending on how you've performed. Free experience can be used on any tank, but it is earned at a much slower rate. Now this is more so the case later down the line with the higher tiers, but to unlock a certain vehicle, the next tier for example, you first have to go through some modules like a better gun or turret. To equip the better gun or turret, you sometimes have to get the upgraded tracks to carry all the extra weight. After fully unlocking all modules on a vehicle, it turns elite, or gets the elite status. Elite vehicles can enhance crew training or gather 3 experience which can be added to your account by using gold, the premium currency of World of Tanks. I'm personally not a fan of this costing gold as it promotes spending a huge amount of money on a free-to-play game, but I will touch on this topic a little more in depth later. Now, to simply explain a regular match of World of Tanks, it's you and 14 other players versus 15 other players, and you win the game by either destroying all the enemy tanks on the other side of the team, or by capping in the cap circle. So basically capture the flag, and if you cap to 100, the game is over. Now, I won't go too in depth into how things work because the tutorial teaches you a lot about the game, and you'll find out more easily by playing the game yourself. World of Tanks started off small but became the largest tank vehicle MMO of all time. It has had an enormous amount of updates and patches, fixing unbalanced vehicles, adding or removing maps, improving the realism and graphics, and improving game performance. One of the biggest updates being the 1.0 update in 2018 in March that revamped the entire look and feel of the game and added more physics. Since then, even more things have changed and improved, but you can clearly see that World of Tanks has come a long way from where it originally started. Now, what exactly makes World of Tanks so fun? Well, I personally started playing World of Tanks in around 2012, getting into it because my older brother showed me the game, much like with RuneScape. Now, I'm far from being a decent player and I've played on and off for about 7,000 battles. Despite me being awful at this game, I have my good moments and these make the game fantastic. Did I mention playing this game with friends is fun? There's just so much meme potential with the variety of tanks this game has. Moments like ramming a light tank to death with your heavy tank or ammo racking a tank and destroying it in one go or one hit are what makes this game such a joy to play. Or pushing someone off a cliff or yeeting off a cliff and doing a barrel roll. There are so many things you can do in this game, especially with the improved physics. While doing all of this, you can enjoy the beautiful scenery and soundtracks every map has. Unlocking that tank you've always wanted to have is another great feeling. However, grinding through some of the crappy or stock tanks is not. In fact, there are a lot of painful grinds in this game, but that is what makes it feel so rewarding when you unlock the top gun or the tank you've been grinding for weeks or even months for. Apart from the list of upsides, this game also has a couple downsides, the first of which being premium vehicles, being vehicles you buy with your hard-earned cash. Now, these vehicles make sense in a free-to-play game, and most of them are fine, but Wargaming offers a bunch of premium vehicles that are just better than their regular counterparts. Take the IS-3A for example. Some tanks, like the Chrysler, despite having been in the black market for credits, are just too good tier for tier and have been some of the most controversial bits of content in World of Tanks. But at the end of the day, it's not that bad because you don't see these tanks in every game. What I do find particularly bad is the free premium tank grind events. These are events that have 10 stages of you completing goals or missions to obtain a free tier 8 premium tank. Almost a necessity for a free-to-play player to make money in this game for the higher tier free-to-play vehicles. These events are ridiculously grindy and make you play for 8 hours a day as a decent player to obtain. Imagine being a bad player or below average like myself. I personally find such a thing outrageous. And yes, you can of course just get a discount by grinding a bit of the stages and not making it to the final 10th stage and completing it, and you'll get a discount on the vehicle, but that's predatory content. This type of content encourages you to spend money on something just to be able to get it if you didn't cut it in terms of stages complete. One of the largest content creators of World of Tanks, being QuickieBaby, also being a very good player, has stated his negative opinion about these events quite often.
Make the commander free for everyone. Don't require them to play the game for excessive amounts of time. It's something that I'm really noticing that you're doing recently. You're forcing players to play the game rather than enriching their experience of it, which would probably bring the players back.
So, World of Tanks is a great game both gameplay-wise and visually. It has its downsides with grindy events and MTX, but compared to the bigger picture, it's a very well polished free-to-play game. And because it's free to play, why wouldn't you try it out if you've never played it before? It looks appealing, the gameplay is appealing, the only thing that's not appealing for a free-to-play player is the microtransactions. But that's the case with many other MMOs. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Waar zijn ze?
Zo'n fuckfest.
Ik kan al niet denken, jongen.
Push, gaan ze hier allemaal dood. Push, 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 push. Anders komen we hier nooit door. Keep going, T28 blocks. Die wreck van die Chrysler naast. Ik zie ook geen fuck door al die rook, jongen.